Talofa lava. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to this meeting in American Samoa of the Western Pacific Fishery Management Council while Congress is in session here in Washington this week. Thank you for your important work. Thank you especially to the council members and the chairs, state officials, and federal officials that focus on these issues of such significance to our islands. In March, as you all well know, President Biden initiated an enormous new national marine sanctuary, calling to set aside an unbelievable 777,000 square miles around the Pacific remote islands, which will have major impacts on our fishing economy. I responded immediately with my deep concerns for our local economic health and the effects on our people. I did so in public communications and press releases, in letters to the administration, in emphatic statements in hearings in Congress, and in individual expressions to other members of Congress. I was stunned that the administration made no effort beforehand to discuss this issue with the Pacific delegations or to notify us, especially as just a few weeks prior, our territory's leaders were together at the IGIA forum with numerous administration officials. Instead, this potentially drastic change was announced with a tweet. They also did not consult with you, the Western Pacific Fishery Management Council, despite the fact that you are authorized by the Congress under the Magnuson-Stevenson Fishery Conservation and Management Act to make fishery management decisions in these waters. The administration is making the wrong policy and doing it the wrong way. How did we come to this point? As you know, PRIMNIM was initially created by presidential proclamation. I wasn't in Congress yet for the first one, although I expressed concern then too. George W. Bush's proclamation seemed large then, but just a few years later, that perspective changed drastically. Then President Obama tripled it in size, placing over 495,000 square miles of the Pacific off limits. Under President Trump's administration, Secretary Zinke studied the issue and put out his report with a common sense recommendation that it be scaled back. Instead, President Biden has set in motion another huge expansion or new NMS designation to 777,000 square miles. How did they arrive at that number? Well, they just asserted it. Unlike the Zinke recommendation, which followed the logical order, a study first, then a recommendation, this one determines the area first, then called on NOAA and other agencies to come up with justifications. I hold out hope they'll come up with some sort of recommendations that will reduce the impact. I appreciate the public input meetings held in American Samoa by federal agencies. I know they heard American Samoans, but did they listen? For now, we're left with that 777,000 square mile plan. The area is so large, it's difficult to describe. We can say it's about 4 times the size of California, or the size of our largest state, Alaska, plus another large western state, like Colorado. The size itself is just one issue. The other issue is China. This detrimental action to American Samoa and U.S. food security perversely benefits China, a large and active fleet that's none too particular about the rules and regulations and limits that surround our fleet. The real problem in the Pacific is China's encroaching influence in the Pacific Islands and their disreputable IUU predatory fishing practices. Why would U.S. policy help China and hinder the U.S. fleet and food security? I'm now in my 5th term, and when I first came to Congress, China was a topic, of course, as a major and growing regional economic and military power. Now, China is a seemingly constant topic in my committees, caucuses, and the Indo-Pacific task force that I chair. While I know the president takes all this seriously, somehow it hasn't yet reached the White House policy on food security and fishing. There's still time for the administration to listen. Tuna is a healthy, affordable, reliable, protein-rich food, and our tuna is the only American caught and canned tuna from our American fleet to the lunches of American school children. Again, I hold out hope that the White House will find a way forward that does not continue turning over jobs and this food source to China. American Samoa's fishing industry makes up about 80% of our local economy. As the southernmost U.S. territory, we are strategically located. We are a patriotic people, and our people enlist in our armed forces at some of the highest rates in the nation. I continue to urge the administration to consult with our governor and our industry stakeholders to find reasonable ways to bolster conservation efforts, strengthen American Samoan fishing, and address our national food security. The administration must allow the Western Pacific Regional Fishery Management Council to do their job under the law. I've spent my life in the region and grown up in these waters. American Samoans love conservation. Our ancestors have been the chief custodians of these very same waters for centuries. We oppose confiscation without consultation, or with merely nominal consultation after the decision seems made. I urge consideration of the local impact and the opinions of our people, and I'll continue to hold out hope that the recommendations from NOAA and elsewhere find ways to prevent this damage to 80% of American Samoa's economy. I appreciate the good work you do at the Council, and especially your knowledge of this issue that I've raised again today. Have a good and effective meeting in beautiful American Samoa. Paftai Telelava, Soifua Maia Manuia.